Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing another light novel review. Technically this is an original English light novel, but basically the same thing, so let's just jump into it. Today we are reviewing Azure Wing Volume 1. Now, this is written by Jonathan Solis. Well, hopefully that's how you say his name. It sounds like a name in Spanish, so that's how I'm going to say it. And the illustrator here is Mi Goreng, which I tried to figure out if they had an account, but the only thing that I came up when I looked for them was these weird ramen packets. So I don't have any way to see if the author has any other interesting work, but I really did enjoy the illustrations here. So yeah. Now this is published by Novel Horizons. This is kind of like the first book they sent me in this kind of program that they have called New Dawn, I think it is. Basically, they're working with YouTubers to provide them with reviews in exchange for the books. There's no other money involved or anything like that. Yeah, I'm one of them. So here we go. Let's talk about the demographic here. I think this doesn't actually have a demographic label attached to it, but I would say that this is in the seinen shonen type of area, which in English would be YA. It's very definitely on the older side of that. This deals with a essentially post-apocalyptic dystopian-esque kind of world with a main character that is a grizzled veteran of war. And well, he's not really, he's a grizzled veteran, but he's only 20 something years old. And so he's not super old and really gruff and manly or anything like that. And it has a lot of elements of ecchi there that really I feel are taken in a different direction from the usual manga and anime. So it actually would feel a little bit more 18 plus, but it doesn't really ever get to that level. So we're going to keep it at YA for sure. Now the genres here are fantasy, action, and adventure. And I guess there's also an element of sci-fi here, which I think is really cool. It actually kind of feels similar to Lord of Goblins, but in a different, the way that it's set up is a little bit different, because this is sci-fi feeling with power armor and stuff like that, but it's all based on magic, right? So it's actually more of a sci fantasy. And the adaptations-wise, there isn't any. I think this is, in fact, an adaptation of a visual novel that is also available from Novel Horizons. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, the premise here is that Phoenix, a power-armored soldier, gets trapped in this thing called True Ice, I think, which basically freezes him in a bubble. And thousands of years later, he is thawed out by these humans that find him, and the world has turned upside down. It's completely different from how Phoenix remembers it, and now he must brave this new messed up world in order to find answers. And yeah, things are tough for this man. So it's very interesting. I really did enjoy the writing style. It's very clear, very concise. It's not overtly flowery, but it still has a nice element of flow to it. It is really easy to read. I really liked it a lot. I read this in I don't know. I don't actually know how long it took, but I know that I read it in a single day, and I read it super fast. It was really enjoyable. It actually kind of reminded me of Rising of the Shield Hero while I was reading it, but mostly because the text is relatively large. It's not that much per page, and the spacing on it is actually quite big. So although there's a lot of pages and it looks like a thick book, it's actually not that much reading wise to do. So that's pretty cool. Now let's jump into the proper review here. The plot line is pretty great. It's quick and clean setup wise. It's very fast. It lets you know exactly what's going on, what type of world we're in, why people are fighting, what this war is about. And then it gets you right into the isekai portion very, very fast. And I really did enjoy that quick speed, because it usually, there's two ways that isekai works, right? And this technically is not an isekai, but for all intent and purpose, it works like one. So we're just gonna go with it. There's usually way too much buildup, and most of the first volume ends up being the whole isekai learning about the world thing, or it doesn't happen it doesn't take long enough to work, And so you're left with a lot of questions. Here we find a very nice balance. It was really quick and easy, but there was a lot of information given to you that was really easy to absorb, and I really did enjoy that. The execution of the initial setup was wonderful. I really did like it a lot. There's minimal meandering, and it's all very goal-oriented. Like, all of the goals for the story are set immediately. We know that the main character needs to figure out what the hell happened, how much time has passed, and what the heck is going to happen later. Then he meets someone, and we find that he needs to set new goals, and he, adjust all of these goals accordingly. And we see him go through each goal as he goes through the story, which I loved so much, because there's so many times where like small publishers and authors that are not that experienced, and I don't know exactly how experienced Jonathan Solis is, but there's many times where a lot of authors that are starting out early on really meander way too much, and they go here and then they go there, and then they never actually set up the plot line, early on. And I really like that this does not happen here. The way that Jonathan Solis writes is very, very well done, very planned out. So, yeah, everything is set up in kind of like small quests and small like goals. And we move through each goal very nicely. And there's a buildup of negative, what's it called? Like negative ramifications to the way the character is proceeding through the world, because he's using up a lot of magic power. And the way that the world is set up, this magic power is borrowed from a creature, and he needs to be in contact with that creature in order to negate the ramifications. But because it's been thousands of years, he actually is not able to. And so it's like a cool like countdown to like an explosion, basically. And it's very interesting to read, because there's a lot of stuff happening, but it doesn't ever feel like you're getting, like it's overbearing. But yeah, there's a lot of isekai, stuff at the beginning. There's some battle, then a lot of info gathering. But the key points basically are the isekai portion, which is at the beginning, and then there's this initial battle, and then there's info gathering. Then we go on this quest to find a friend, which ends up turning into a quest to find a different friend. And then this wind down and set up for the next book, right? And I really think Jonathan Solis did a great job with this book. Everything was so well written, so easy to understand, and just very well handled. Like, overall, this has been one of the most enjoyable original English light novels that I've read so far. So really kudos to him and to Light Novel Horizons for such a good, book so far. Now, the characters here, there's not that many, but each one of them is a important archetype and a good setup for the future. So we have our main character, Phoenix, who is this battle-hardened but kind man, and he's kind of OP, but the OP-ness of him, his overpoweredness, has very severe ramifications that are very negative to him as an individual, and so his overpoweredness comes off as like a great gift with a great curse attached to it. So it's very cool. It's kind of like the whole, Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility type of thing. But this responsibility is to take care of his own body. So very cool stuff. I actually really like his character, because we see him in flashbacks and in the side story at the end being a young man compared to how he is as an adult. And we see that he had a lot of progression as an individual in terms of self-esteem and growing as a person, but his convictions and the things that he believes in remain the same and rather idealistic, like every good shonen character has to, be. So I really did like that. I really do enjoy Phoenix. So good stuff there. Now, the next character we have is Alia, or Aaliyah. I don't really know how to say her name, but she's like the whole Hime/tsundere character, and she functions as the info dump character because she's an elf princess, and she is also the person that has the most of the information available in this world that is friends with Phoenix. I actually enjoy her character as well. At first, she comes off really shitty, but Phoenix basically smacks her. He beats her down in a battle, and so she, has to respect him. And so we get this whole kind of like tsundere thing going on with him and Phoenix, or with him and Alia, and I really did enjoy it. She's a pretty fun character. Next, we have Phalien, which is the Kudere character, like the more emotionless or kind of more stoic female character here. She's a very solid sidekick for Phoenix, and I really do enjoy her character as well because she provides a more kind of like gentle wisdom to the, you know, team. Whereas Phoenix is all about straight action and going straight to the point, and Aelia is more like that whole kind of like materialistic approach. Phalien is, she's the person that really balances out everything and allows for calmness and good work to happen between all the characters. And then we have Joanne, which is an AI, kind of similar to Cortana from Halo. And she has a bit of a comedy aspect to her, and she's rather sarcastic, and it's actually quite enjoyable. I really do enjoy the dynamic between her and Phoenix because she's the AI in Phoenix's armor, and I really do enjoy how they function as characters. It actually allows for very fun conversation and early development between the two characters as they try to figure out what the world is, right? And allows for info dumps that don't feel like info dumps through the exposition of the early plotline. So really good stuff there. There's a lot of other side characters that are important, but I don't really want to spoil them because I think that the impact that they have when they show up is best left, you know, unspoiled. So world building here, let's talk about it. I think it's solid. It's not confusing, and it's actually really easy to process, which is something that is not always the case in a lot of big fantasy stories. However, I think that the development of the world building could have been a little bit better. Like, we could have gotten a lot more of it. I think that it actually functioned well as it is because we got all of the basics of culture, politics, and, you know, like species stuff happening here. And we also kind of understood the basics of the bad guys and where these bad guys are coming from. Like, we don't know where they come from, but we know how they're essentially created and the best way to defeat them and how they have affected the world. So very good stuff here. The world building is very solidly done. Like I said, I don't think it's the best world building ever, but it is very solid, very well done. We know what all of the different creatures that live in this world look like. We understand that, you know, the Phalians people, which are called the Okomians or Okamians, are basically werewolves. The elves are obviously elves. And then there's a few other types of people. There's also the, what are they called? The dark ones? Basically the grunts of the bad guys are, he's like essentially werewolf type things, but they're made of like this black material. So cool stuff there. Really did enjoy it. The culture and politics all made sense, and it kind of like fit. It was a little bit archetypal and not super like deep, but it was understandable, and I quite like that. So yeah, now the art here is actually super cute. I really do enjoy it. It has a very stylized style. That's like redundant to say, but it's also very cute. It's definitely anime inspired, but I would say that it's not very like it doesn't really fit into any kind of like major category of anime type drawings. Like it's not like the stuff in Demon King Diamao, which is like the really stretched out like torsos that are also found in Danmachi. It's not really that kind of like hitting a Western type of comic book type of style like we see in Eminence and Shadow. And it's not like something we would see in the romantic comedy type of novels either. It's like not like I can't really pinpoint what type of style it is. I can only tell you that it's actually very cute and it looks really nice. Although there is definitely an element of polish that needs to happen here before we can really say that it looks awesome, right? But let me see if I can find an illustration that is pretty good. I just saw one here. Look, see? Like I said, it's really solid. It looks really nice, but I definitely think that there's a little bit of polish that could be done here to make it even better. I also really wish that there was color pages here, but I understand that that's not really viable for everyone. So yeah, I also really enjoy that they have these character pages that allow you to see most of the important characters that we'll see throughout this book. So good stuff there. Fan service wise, I think that there's a few bath scenes and this like naked fight between two of the girls. So if you're into that, you're gonna definitely have some here. But again, I don't really think that it's super like crazy, and it's also not that common. Like Phoenix is a little bit crass, and he does say some kind of like lewd jokes. But if you read or watch PG-13 movies, it's really not going to be all that different from what you would find there, except for the fact that, you know, there's going to be naked girls fighting during one of the scenes, but it's really not that serious. Now, rating-wise, I think there's a solid 4 out of 5. I think it's really good. But I did think that the world building could have done a little bit better, and so I didn't really find myself being able to give it a 5. But it's super good. It's super interesting. It's not like the most unique thing ever, but it is very good. It's very well handled, and the writing and exposition here was very nicely done. So I can't fault it in any major way, but I really can't give it that 5 just yet. I think this has the potential to be really good. And although it is an original English light novel, it doesn't necessarily feel like a light novel. It just borrows some of the tropes. And what it does instead is actually provide you with a very interesting kind of like Western style fantasy story with those anime elements there in a very fun way. So I really did like that. And yeah, so do I recommend this title? Yes, I think this is a very good title to recommend to people. I do really enjoy it, and I like the way everything works here. So if you guys like things like, see, this is the part where it's kind of hard. Like, I don't really know what to recommend if, like what other types of titles are similar to this, because I'm not really sure that there is one that really fits. I think something like Blue Steel Blasphemer is somewhat similar. Maybe something like, see, I don't really know anything that has power armor in light novels, so I don't really know. But Lord of Goblins is pretty similar to this as well. I feel like things like Halo, this would be pretty similar, but in a fantasy setting. But yeah, like in general, just stuff like that. Danmachi, I guess, is also kind of similar, to an extent. So yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And please do make sure to check out Light Novel Horizons, as well as their Twitter. I'll leave their website and their Twitter down below. And check out the novels that they have. They have quite a few. I will probably get around to reviewing all of them, but I don't know how it is that I'm going to go about it. If I'm going to go and record videos for the newest releases first, and then go back to the older stuff, or what. So yeah, stay tuned. Please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below, like I said earlier. And once again, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. See you guys later.